no time at the feet of Jesus is wasted. Amen. Amen. No time sitting at his feet is not in vain. You're going to learn of him. You will learn things you haven't learned of before, discover things you haven't discovered before. Last week, or this month, our focus at the school is on the family. Our focus at church is on the family. Everything we're doing is focused on the family. And last week we covered a very important area, an area of concern for me as a pastor, and that is sibling rivalry. Because in our homes, our children are our concern. And whether your children have grown or whether they're still tiny, they remain a permanent concern in any parent's heart. Is that right? And we saw what happened in the household of Adam. Adam's children ended up in a conflict, and the conflict led to murder, and it just collapsed the entire household. That must not repeat itself in our homes. Amen. And we went through the principles, the keys, we went through the scriptures, and I'm praying you apply those things in your life. You're not just learning, but these are practical tools, practical principles and keys you apply in your life. Or if you're pastoring a church and you're leading a church and you're a leader, then you take these keys and share it with someone. Amen. Amen. What you're learning is reinforced in your life when you teach it, when you share it, when you duplicate it. Amen. So you take the things you're learning. If you're in a cell group, you're in a youth meeting, you take the things you're learning and teach it to someone. Help someone, especially the area we're covering on here regarding family. How many of you think it's important? Amen. The things we cover, please share it with someone. We want to see homes grow. We want to see families develop and families remain healthy and strong. Amen. Amen. Today, for this session, we're going to look at the family, and we're in part number 3 of our series, and we're going to talk about the difference between a covenant and a contract. Say it with me, a covenant and a contract. In the society we're living in right now, we all are very familiar with contracts. Amen. How many of you are familiar with a contract? Amen. Many of us have cell phone contracts. And your cell phone contract has a term, a duration, a 24-month duration. On the contract, there's an agreement, a legal agreement between you and the service provider. That's a contract. We will give you the phone, you pay us X amount every month, and we'll provide you with the following services. That's a contract. And there are contracts today for everything. The corporate sector has moved away from employing people on a full-time capacity to employing people contractually. How many of you found that? They found out that if they have the contract, it's easy to manage it. You can't join the trade unions, you can't strike because you are bound by a contract. How many of you have working contracts? A lot of people I've spoken to, particularly, even members of parliament, have a working contract, 5-year contract or 4-year contract. Major companies, if you're working for all these retailing stores, they have contracts with you. And the contract governs the relationship. How many of you understand that? Amen. So all of us understand what a contract is. A contract in a nutshell is, you scratch my back, I'll scratch you. You do this, I'll do that. If you do this, I'll do that. If you pay your monthly fees, we will give you 150 minutes free. If you break the contract, you're in trouble, you go to court. And the people said, so contracts have become a commonplace. People understand what a contract is. Almost all of us are involved with the contract. And the people said, when you come to church and you get married, many of us, 99% of us, approach marriage with a contractual mindset. We treat our marriage like a It's a you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. Amen. You sit in the counseling, if my wife does this, I'll do that. If my husband fulfills that part, then if he doesn't do that, I'm not doing it. That's a contract with terms and conditions. That is not a covenant. Marriage in Scripture is not a contract, it's a covenant. The terms governing a covenant are diametrically opposed to what a contract is. So when you get married, and we're going to talk about marriage, when you get married, you haven't entered into a contract. You've entered into a covenant. Say it with me one more time, into a covenant. So it's not a you scratch my back. It's not, how many of you are listening? It's not my wife must give me 50% commitment. The husband gives me 50% commitment, and we have 100% successful marriage. That's a contract. The covenant, the wife brings 100% into the marriage. How many percent? 100%. The husband brings 100%. And the marriage is a success. It's not 50%.